Hi guys, welcome back to another fragrance video on my channel and thanks so much for tuning in again. Now in today's video I would like to give you my personal top 10 sexy men's fragrances list. So this is a list of sexy fragrances that are used for dates, that are used for intimacy, that will give you great compliments and great reactions. And I would like to give you a whole selection ranging from musky and spicy fragrances all up to sweet and seductive ones. And of course I'm curious to hear about your personal selection of sexy fragrances as well. Just drop a comment in the comment section down below and I'll be super happy. So we are starting off with a fragrance called Musk Ravageur by the house of Frédéric Malle. It's a French fragrance house and this is probably the most known musky fragrance there is. So it's a fragrance that opens with bergamot, mandarin, lavender and cinnamon, and in my opinion it then develops into a super musky dry down. You get loads of musk with this, especially with older versions. It has an awesome performance and it has probably the most sexy French DNA you can imagine. So Musk Ravageur, if you are into sexy and spicy fragrances, especially cinnamon, you should definitely check out because it's an absolutely awesome sexy fragrance. Next up we have the fragrance called Mandole by the house of Soradora. Again, a French fragrance house, which this time goes into a kind of marzipan, almondy and cherry-like direction. So this one is kind of sweet. It's not too sweet, but it has a really tasty gourmand-like texture to it. In my opinion, it's a perfect alternative to Tom Ford Lost Cherry, because this one also has kind of a frozen cherry accord in the beginning, but then it develops into this beautiful almond concoction and it also lasts a long time. So you will be able to get great compliments with this. It's going to be a super nice skin scent in the dry down, so in the far dry down when it dies down actually. And it's an awesome fragrance also for a date, for example, and especially during autumn and winter. So Mandole by Soradora. By the way, if you want to save 10% on this fragrance, I will drop a discount code in the comment section down below. So please make sure to check that out to save some money on this, or for example, the Discovery set and all the other fragrances by Soradora. Next up, we have a Parfums de Marly fragrance, which is my personal favorite Parfums de Marly fragrance of all time. It is also the one that will give you the best ladies' reactions, if that's what you're into, and it's called Carlisle, and it's actually a super unconventional compliment getter because it's super dark. So this is a apple-based fragrance. It has green apple in the top notes, but then it develops into a super dark concoction. I personally get a lot of tobacco and leathery notes of this, although they are not listed. And then it also has a nice vanillic and resinous dry down with opoponax and also patchouli and sandalwood. So a awesome fragrance to try, especially during the colder months of the year. The next fragrance that I want to talk about is kind of a Tuscan leatherish type of fragrance, although it's far more refined and way more exclusive. And it's called London by the house of Widian. So this is a oriental house. I own a couple of fragrances by Widian, also Liva, which is a great Oud for Greatness alternative. And actually London is a kind of Tuscan leatherish type of fragrance. It has more focus on the raspberry and on the fruity notes. It's also way more faceted and way more transparent and just very differentiated fragrance. Awesome performance, and it develops into a super soft leathery dry down, which is absolutely awesome, and you should definitely try this if you don't know this one yet. The next two fragrances are designers, which is good because we also have some cheaper alternatives on this list. I'm talking specifically about Jean-Paul Gaultier Le Male Le Parfum, which in my opinion is the best Le Male fragrance they have developed. If you are a younger guy, you should also try Ultra Male, which is a very sweet version of this. I think younger guys can pull this off as well. It's also super sexy, but for the more refined gentlemen among you guys, I would recommend Le Male Le Parfum because it is the most mature version of the Le Male fragrances. Has the typical Le Male DNA combined with cardamom, lavender and iris, which is absolutely awesome, and you will get great compliments and a great longevity with this as well. Next up we have Tom Ford Noir Extreme, which is a kind of sweet gourmandy alternative. This is a fragrance that I've reviewed in the past because it plays with a note of kulfi, which is a oriental type of ice cream, I believe, that works with pistachios, and this one is therefore a gourmandy fragrance that has a nice pistachio note, and this one is just super sexy, and it is, in my opinion, the perfect date fragrance for a colder time of the year. Of course, we should also talk about amber fragrances, and here I have two on the list, ranking for place number 6, and the first one is Grand Soir by Maison Francis Coquelin, which is probably the most mainstreamish type of amber fragrance there is. So if you have never tried an amber fragrance and you would like to try one, you should definitely check out Grand Soir by Maison Francis Coquelin, because it is the stereotype almost of a amber type fragrance. If you don't know what amber is, it is the combination of resinous notes on one hand and vanilla on the other, combined with some spices and also sometimes with a citrus note in the beginning. And in this one you have two different resins, so you have benzoin as well as labdanum, and it's combined with, of course, vanilla and also tonka bean, making this a super sweet and almost gourmandy type of fragrance. And if you are looking for a more refined version, I have this one here. It is called Ombre Canjar by Uni Nomade. And by the way, guys, I have also a code that will give you, I believe, a free sample kit on every order. So if you want to check that out, please make sure to check the comments as well. So this one is slightly more fruity in my opinion, slightly more refined. So if you know Grand Soir and you want to get an alternative to this one, try Ombre Canjar by Uni Nomade. It's an awesome fragrance for autumn and winter as well. Next up, another designer. I've chosen Stronger With You Absolutely, which in my opinion is the best one of the Stronger With You line by Armani. And this is a nice chestnut fragrance, so it will remind you of the Christmas time, and it's awesome in winter. It's super sweet, again comparable to Tom Ford Noir Extreme, but with a different note. It has also kind of a liquor type note to me. Awesome performance, is super cheap as well, so another sexy fragrance for you to try. Next up we have another cherry and almond type of fragrance, also from a French house again, and this one is Guerlain L'Homme Ideal Eau de Parfum, probably my personal most complimented fragrance. So this one is of course place number 3 because it is probably the best fragrance to wear on a date. It is the perfect all-weather fragrance in my opinion, although it could be a little bit problematic if you go above like 22, 23 degrees Celsius, so be careful, don't wear this during summer, but for everything below I think it's an awesome fragrance, and it is one of the best fragrances by the house of Guerlain. Then place number 2 we have Amouage Reflection Man. I personally would choose Reflection 45, but please note that this fragrance goes for around $400 to $500, so it's not cheap. Although in my opinion it is the best version of Amouage Reflection Man. Of course you could also go for the normal version, however I think this one should not be left out on a top 10 fragrances list. And since this is one of the sexiest fragrances to wear as a man, I think it's a deserved place number 2. And on place number 1 I have, where do I have it? Of course the superstar called Parfums de Marly Layton. This is a pretty late discovery for me, guys. So I've been wearing Layton Exclusive for, I believe, 2 years, and I recently got to try Layton again, so the normal version, and I absolutely fell in love with it. It's been a late discovery, so I always chose Layton Exclusive because it was more dark, more refined. But actually, if you were to go on a date and you would be wanting compliments and all that stuff, I think Layton is the better alternative because it is more mainstream and it's way easier to like, and it's just really tasty, has great performance, and in my opinion is still absolutely worth every penny in the year 2022. So this concludes my top 10 list of sexy fragrances for men. I'm super excited for your recommendations, so please drop a comment in the comment section down below. Leave a like for this video if you liked it, and I will see you guys in the next one. So thanks for watching and bye bye.